Welcome back to Okayama and welcome back to the F4. We're trying to get redemption from the last time we were here when we raced in the Ferrari 296 series. That was a disaster of a series, so we're hoping this one goes a little bit better. So we're about to get going on this race, and I realised from the last race that I maybe had the revs a little too high. We spun a little bit at the launch in the race of Misano, so I've kind of kept the revs a little lower to try and minimise wheel spin. Get a decent launch. Harrison in front is going to cut across to cover the line. He's going to blink, so I'm thinking, where do I go? What do I do? I just drove kind of my normal-ish racing line and just kind of hoped for the best, and luckily he doesn't blink into me and we have a massive accident. He does get a bit of a better run out of turn one and through these kind of complexes here, and the Noah behind and Angelo, they are going to be fighting right behind us momentarily. We don't get the greatest run down the back straight and we're immediately under pressure from Noah and Angelo behind. I was thinking about going defensive here, wasn't too concerned with keeping on the racing line. You see, I do eventually go defensive here. I learned from the 296 series that it is possible to hang it around the outside, around that hairpin, but it's not the easiest, and if you don't get side by side coming into that left-hander, then you either have to yield or you're going to risk a accident, and at this early stage in the race I did not want to risk any major accident. Harrison is kind of pulling away a little bit on this opening lap. He's had a couple of better corners, but we're still keeping him honest, and we run wide there a little bit, get a 1x, but I was worried about cold tires breaking into certain corners and spinning out. The car definitely felt a little loose around here, and as we come across the end lap number one, gaining in confidence here and there just with the car beneath me, and we do gain a little bit of a gap between us and Noah and Angelo behind, so now we're trying to see if we can concentrate on Harrison. We don't take the first corner particularly well, which then allows Harrison a bit more of a gap and Noah and Angelo behind to catch up to us again. So turn one was a bit of a tricky one for me this race. There was a couple of I was using braking points, but just being wary of the lack of ABS on this car and locking up, so didn't have my haptics set up perfectly, so I was still worried about locking up. Coming down the back straight here, I'm keeping an eye on my rear view mirror because Noah's right behind. He's kind of in my blind spot right behind me, but I go defensive, trying to break the toe a little bit. See that they're not too close. I break him a normal point. Noah is right behind me, but Angelo sends from miles back, and I have to open the door to avoid a collision. Coming through this left-hander, Angelo and Noah behind touch, so they kind of get a bit loose, and that allows me to keep the position. Got a little bit lucky on that one. Was definitely concerned coming into this left-hander that Angelo was better under the brakes, so I've been covering it off a little bit as I get a bit of a slide coming in there, trying to brake as late as I dare. Back end, try to swap positions with the front, but we catch the slide and we avoid a spin and keep the position. But coming through the last corner now, we're immediately looking in our mirrors because we're under pressure from both Angelo and Noah. We're coming up to turn one. I was a bit worried about the guys behind. I was thinking, do I go defensive or do I stay in the racing line? I brake a little too late here, lock up the wheels slightly as you see, and run wide coming off onto the gravel trap. I hold it together, wheels are dirty now coming back onto the track. Get a little bit of a slide coming through this left-hander, catch that one as well, but that allows Pablo to go around the outside. It also allows Jared to go up our inside, and as we come up to this right-hander, I'm going to brake a little early. I was a bit worried about the dirty tires and didn't want to have an accident. As you can see, I think that was Noah. Noah went off there, so we gained a position that way. I touched momentarily with Jared there as we got a bit of a better run coming out, but now we're compromised and we're watching a mirror for Dennis behind. But Jared is a back marker in this one, and he's going to be fighting us as if it's for position. He's going to be lunging up our inside on the brakes, and he's going to be defending a lot. So yeah, Pablo out in front is for position, the kind of white and red car, but the black car by Jared is not for position. He's a back marker, and I felt faster, especially in certain places like there where you can see I was faster on the exit, but I nearly ran to the back from, so I had to pull out of it, and that compromised my ability into the hairpin. You can see here I'm trying to do kind of a bit of a switchback, trying to get a better run, but he gets a better run than I do out of the second hairpin, and you can already see there's a bit of a gap from Pablo and Jared pulling, kind of starting to increase. I was thinking here maybe he's letting us pass now. Maybe he was just looking for a good opportunity to let us pass and minimise his race. But you can see coming into turn 1 again, maybe I was a bit too cautious under the brakes after that last lock-up, but he sends one up the inside. Now he's getting back to position. As we're coming through this left-hander, I'm watching. I can't go out wide to take the normal racing line because Dennis was on our outside, so I had to give him space. That compromises my entry and exit of that second corner. But coming into this right-hander, you can see that Jared doesn't get the best run. I get a better run. He's forcing us to go around the outside. I don't have draft, so it's going to be a straight horsepower race up to the downhill section into the hairpin. He's going to have the inside line. He is better on the brakes, so that's why I'm keeping an eye on my mirror. I'm braking, keeping an eye on him and making sure that he doesn't come into the side of us, giving him space. But he's fighting. He's not going to give up the position, even though we're not fighting for position. He's not essentially giving up the position on the track, and he's holding us up. And the gap to Pablo in front now has increased to 3.2. So he's definitely holding us up, and it's one of those unfortunate incidents that can happen. iRacing has this weird thing where it's not in the rules specifically that you have to let people by when you're on the blue flag. I generally adhere to that when I'm on a blue flag if I've ever made a mistake in a race and trying to just recover safety rating by driving around and finishing the race or see if something else happened. We do get a better run here, but he's covering us off bit by bit. We're going to go up the inside here and see if we can make this one stick. But yeah, it's frustrating that iRacing doesn't have that. I kind of understand why they don't have that. Get a bit of a slide there, trying to maintain position, going to be on the outside now. Here he cuts across. I'm thinking avoid an accident at all costs because this is not for position. We're still in 5th, so it's not the end of the world to finish 5th. But coming up to this right-hander, he's going to go defensive again. I'm going to see if I can hang it around the outside. I know he's not the greatest through this corner, and I'm seeing if I can get a better drive now around the outside and make this move stick. So we do get a better drive than he does. I'm looking in my mirrors. I know I'm going to go 100% defensive here if it's close, but he's got a car up his inside. I do go defensive, trying to cover off any lunges. It wasn't a massive defensive move, but it was definitely a decisive move because that blocks any move from both Dennis and Jared behind. Jared does get passed by Cole and Dennis, so we're now fighting for position with the cars behind, and Alex up in front has made a mistake here and there, so we're down to 2.5 seconds when it was previously over 3 seconds. So yeah, he cost us a lot of time for those like 2 laps. Maybe I wasn't as aggressive as I should have been, but just frustrating a little bit in this race, as we could be right up there with Alex if he had left us past and maybe even Pablo. So yeah, just trying to see if we can close the gap with the car in front and pull out a gap from the car behind. But yeah, I think that's something, in my opinion, that I would like to see iRacing maybe specifically address with a rule change, that the blue flags should be adhered to, or otherwise you get a penalty or something like that. But maybe it's protestable or something, but that may increase the protest rates, and maybe they just don't have the capacity to deal with it. But I generally try to adhere to the, let's say, the adage that if I'm under blue flags, that I'm going to let the faster car behind go. I'm going to try and inconvenience them as little as possible. The only time I would think about being less, let's say, agreeable to the car behind is if I'm fighting a car in front for position. Then that's the only time that I would maybe be a bit less compliant and letting them go. But because I'm literally trying to fight another car for position. But if you're on your own, I definitely, and I've had incidents where I've crashed or made a mistake and I'm at the back of the field and I'm just trying to recover safety rating, and I generally just let them go. The likelihood I'm going to make up, let's say, 30 seconds over 3 or 5 or even 10 laps with the car in front is unlikely, so I will let the faster car behind go, even though I'm trying to catch up with the car in front, and I may be faster than the car. Let's say if I'm in 16th position and I'm trying to catch 15, I might be faster than them, but yeah, I will let them go. Unfortunately, not everyone thinks that way, and unfortunately not everyone views it that way, and they try to use these races as practice, or maybe it's kind of an ego thing where they're like, I'm just as fast as you, but each to their own. Just unfortunately, it kind of affected my race this time around. We are gaining on Alex. The gap is down below 2 seconds now. We're on lap number 7. I think there was about 11 or 12 laps in this race. We got a bit of time to catch up to him. Coming up to the back straight, the gap is coming down slightly. It does fluctuate a little bit here and there as you have the Constantina effect, where you will gain time on the entry and lose it a little bit on the exit in the relative. But yeah, it's down to about 1.6 seconds coming up to the hairpin, and we're all kind of around the same iRating. I'm about 1.8k, and the car in front, Alex, is about 1.7. Car behind, the two cars behind are 1.6, but they're fighting each other. That, again, if you're looking at the relatives, Jared, who's a lap down, fighting Cole for position. It's just, I don't understand, but I could rant all day about blue flags. But yeah, we're concentrating now and trying to catch Alex. I definitely felt quick around here. I qualified at P2, so I must have had some bit of pace around here. And having previously raced here in the 296, I knew where mistakes could be made, as well as where I was losing time and where I could try and concentrate on. Unfortunately, this week I only had the opportunity to race one race in the 296 series, and that was a lot of fun, that race. It was Monza combined, not a track I historically like, as Alex goes wide here, so we're going to see if we can catch up to him and maybe capitalise on his mistake. But yeah, not a track I particularly like, but definitely a very, very, very fun race. Lots of clean racing, no major incidents at Monza, so definitely check that video out if you haven't, as we continue our battle with Alex. So coming into this right-hander, Alex runs a little bit wide. We get a bit of a better run. We got the car straighter than he did earlier, so it allows us to get on the accelerator. It's going to be a drag race down to the hairpin. We do have another back marker here in Josh, but he leaves us go. He doesn't interfere with our race, so thank you to Josh for that one. We have the inside line, and in the mirrors, you can't quite see it in the replay, but on the race in the virtual mirror, I knew I was ahead here, so I just took the racing line. Very aggressive move, but I knew I had the space with Alex behind, and I knew I needed to shut that door as quickly as possible. So I shut the door, coming through the left-hander, keep that position. He's not close enough to send one up the inside, so I take the normal racing line here, and we had been catching him, and he made that mistake, which allowed us to capitalise on it. So coming up around the end of lap number 8, we're going to take a bit of a look at our relative to see where we stand in relation to everyone behind. Alex is already about a second behind, so knowing from the last few laps we were gaining on him, and as long as we can be consistent, we can potentially increase that gap with Alex behind. He's already now down to 2 seconds as a car coming out of the pit lane. That is Noah, who we were fighting with earlier on in the race, so he must have had an incident. And we're coming through the second corner here, and we're going to catch up with him as he comes out of the pit lane. And he's going to do the right thing with blue flags. He's going to pull over to the right and let us go. He's going to brake early, let us go, not interfere with our race. So that was nice to see from Noah. So there's the contrast between different racers. Some people will race you under blue flags, and some people will just let you go. So as we take stock, I run a little wide. I was concentrating a bit too much on the relative, and kind of ran a little bit wide there. Luckily we didn't hit the wall, and luckily we didn't spin out or have an incident, but the gap to Pablo, who's in third, is about 4.3 seconds. He has been catching Angelo in second a little bit here and there, so they're about 4 or 5 seconds ahead, so I don't know if we're going to catch them in time unless they start fighting for position. But Cole now is in 5th position, and we're about 5.6 seconds ahead of him. I'm not sure what happened, the car Alex, who we passed, but he's definitely dropped down the order again, so he's over 10 seconds behind us, I think, at this stage. A couple of back markers here and there between us, so we got a bit of breathing room as we come around to finish lap number 9. Right now, I'm just trying to run my own race. I am basically racing nobody, so I'm trying to pump in lap after lap after lap and hope that Pablo can catch up to Angelo and maybe slow the two of them down. I would never wish anyone to have an accident and ruin their race, but if it happens, it happens, and if I can capitalise on it, that's great. But that's going to be pretty much what we're hoping for, in a sense that we're hoping that there could potentially be the two of them fighting and squabbling for position that slows them down lap by lap. There's not many laps left, so we're not going to catch up to them very, very quickly, because they're definitely fast drivers. So if you look at the kind of relative, you can see there's 1.5, 1.7, 1.6k, so definitely. And this is only really my second race in the F4, so even though it might be 1.8k, I don't feel like a 1.8k. But just trying to nurse the car home right now, make no mistakes, don't spin out, don't run wide, don't cost yourself too much time. Hopefully we can catch up to the cars in front. Hopefully they can maybe make a mistake here and there, maybe they can fight for position here and there, and hopefully the car behind us does not gain too much ground. As you can see, we're back up to 6 seconds ahead of Cole. So yeah, just running our own race, trying to see this one out, make no mistakes, and that can happen towards the end of the race sometimes when you're caught kind of in this no man's land, or this kind of island where of your own, where there's not much racing, but it can be fun just to practice and see if you can tweak a little bit of lines here and there and gain some position. The cars will change over time, the grip level does change depending on how aggressive you have been over the race, depending on the conditions. The track does rubber in a little bit, so the car does change, and you got to nurse that a little bit and see if you can adapt to the changing conditions a little bit. But yep, just a bit of a fun race here. Again, this is only the second race in the F4 I've ever done, and I'm really rather enjoying the F4. Definitely going to have a few more races in it. The open wheel aspect of it is a different driving and kind of fighting aspect. When you're racing side by side, you have to be a bit more aware of where the cars are around you, because any touch of wheels can definitely ruin your race. Unlike the 296 series, where you can go side by side, bang doors a little bit, and come out the other side with relatively unscathed. But just one of those things you got to be aware of with open wheels. The gap is coming down to the cars in front. They're down to now 3.5 seconds. They have been fighting each other a little bit, so coming up to finish lap number 11, get a big slide there as we're going to come around the last few corners. This was the last lap of the race, and unfortunately the two cars in front didn't squabble too much, and we didn't gain enough time to be able to position to gain any more positions. But very happy with 4th position, kept it relatively clean. One mistake kind of cost us a few positions, but we were able to, get back into the race and get our 4th position. So happy with that one. We're going to see how that does, how it affects our results in our iRating momentarily. So to the results, I was mistaken. This was not top split, this was second split. But still a good strong strength of field and about 1723. Our safety rating, we did gain a little bit despite the 6 incident points, so up to 3.4k, so we will be eligible for our end of season promotion soon enough if we do a few more races. Our iRating has improved from 1.8k to 1.920k, so happy with that, plus 62, so we go double green, and finished 4th place overall. So very happy with the race. It was a lot of fun. We'll continue to do a few races. Our fastest lap was 1 minute 28.949. So if you enjoyed this video, guys, check out the 296 series video that was released recently. I hope you'll enjoy that one also, and I hope to see you in the next video. And again, if you like this video, like it, comment, subscribe. Any tips you have for me going forward will always be appreciated. So thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.